New South Wales abortion. Now, it's been a long time since I talked about this, and I spent actually a lot of energy in the last season, season 3, going through the New South Wales abortion debate. And we talked about it most episodes, but I actually never got to wrap up. And it's been nearly a month since that bill became law. The New South Wales abortion bill actually passed, and many of you participated in that campaign. Many of you, there were 2 rallies, huge rallies. Most of you would have been in Hyde Park at least. There were masses of submissions, more than 10,000, I think 13,000 something submissions to the parliamentary inquiry. Huge number of MP contacts, a whole lot more. There was a vigil outside Parliament House, which a number of young people were involved in. Many of you were demoralised and disheartened when that bill ended up passing. And I want to encourage you, not in a way that is vacuous and fake, but in a way that's substantive. I really mean this. Because never has the spotlight been more publicly shone on the abortion issue in our nation. And I mean that. Channel 7, Channel 9, the major TV networks, you watch the news coverage of the rally, it was unbelievable. They covered people saying genuine things, people with disabled children, people who were kids who were talking about life, people who had said, look, my mum was told to abort me, and so on. It was absolutely incredible. I remember doing an interview on primetime Sydney radio in the afternoon and advertised the rally on the radio, gave an interview about abortion, and it was open. I was able to speak. I was able to say what I wanted to say, and the listening audience for that program was huge. This has never happened in Australia. It's never happened. And we also had the largest pro-life demonstration in Australia's history. I believe that's probably true, in Hyde Park, or at least close to it. If it's not true, if someone's remembers something from years gone by, a genuine movement is actually growing. And look at all the people that saw those signs. Look at all the people that saw that testimony, who heard those words. The Berejiklian government is ruptured on the inside. There's political ripples from this. Now, they're not going to move again on something like this lightly, because they know the horrible blowback that they got. They know the struggles that they face. They know that people don't like it. That's a good thing, a very good thing. In fact, I think euthanasia discussions are all knocked off well into the long grass into the future because of concerns that stem out of this. Key amendments were passed, and many of these are the first of their kind in Australia. They lay a platform for us to be able to push back in other states. Abortions after 22 weeks are subject to tighter restrictions, and women seeking those abortions must be offered counselling information. That's new, to have that line in the sand. A doctor is not prevented from providing life-saving medical care to a child born alive during a termination. That's new, that's good. Doctors can now refer women to New South Wales Health rather than to an abortionist who will do the abortion. They can just say, look, you need to talk to New South Wales Health about your concerns. There's a softening of the doctor's conscience stuff. There'll be a review in 12 months into sex selection abortions, their prevalence and how to prevent them. That's good. It keeps the issue alive. We can talk about it again. There is sex selection abortion going on in our community. We know there is, and we will find that out. Data is to be collected on abortions. We don't have data in some states, so we don't know what's going on. That's not about, that's a good thing. And attempts to coerce abortion are criminal offences. That is also a very good thing, because that is happening. Now, yes, these are small in the scheme of things, but these are a number of actual changes. Those changes and the political impact which is ongoing were had in a short time window of serious mass action. And that is quite remarkable. There are pro-lifers in other countries and around the world who have been active on this stuff for far longer, and they've seen far less. I look to the US, it took a long time for the massive action in America to start yielding fruit. They have the biggest human rights demonstration in the world over there in Washington, D.C. And it's really only in recent times that it's started to get some progress, little bit by little bit. I've come out of this encouraged. I'm used to the kind of legislation that's passing through parliaments at the moment. I'm used to all of the issues politically. I'm not used to seeing that degree of zealous grassroots action and the impact that it had. A big push yielded some fruit. The answer is keep pushing. But the fruit is bigger than a single issue, and I want to make this very clear too. I said this at an event in Sydney recently. Look, I was at the parliamentary prayer breakfast at the federal parliament a couple of weeks ago. At that event, we had the Prime Minister, we had the opposition leader, we had the Governor-General, he spoke, we had heaps of politicians from both sides of politics, Christian and not Christian, and we had the room mostly full. That is quite astonishing, because 12 months ago, October 2018, it couldn't have been more different. There was no Prime Minister, there was no opposition leader, there was no Governor-General, there was a really thin number of parliamentarians, rusted-on Christian types, and there was half the size of people in the room. What changed? What changed? Do you know, quiet Australians, Christians in this country raised their voices at the miracle election. Well, it was a miracle election, and I would never take away from the good work of the Prime Minister in all of that and other groups as well. But we had a role too. For example, the 3 of the 4 seats that decided the outcome, we were there. Chisholm, Bass and Boothby. In Chisholm, we targeted 60,000 undecided voters. Chisholm was won by, 150 votes, I think. A very small number. Bass, again, we had 10,000 undecided homes targeted. Bass was won by 500 odd votes. Boothby, again, 60,000 undecided homes targeted, was won by about 1,500 votes. That's got to have made a difference. It's got to have. Quiet Australians raised their voice. In the demographic analysis after the election, the common theme over and over again was religious communities in these seats. Not only that, but of course you had the Israel Folau moment. That was huge, $2.2 million in 2 days from 22,000 donors and just only increasing. If we hadn't pulled the plug on that, I don't know how much we would have raised. It was just going off like gangbusters. That was a huge moment, a decisive moment. That changed the political conversation in Canberra on religious freedom, let me tell you. Big time, huge impact, night and day. Then of course you had the abortion rallies in New South Wales. There have been other moments. Quiet Australians, Christian people, have been being salt and light in the community, have been raising their voices and finding their voices in a way like we haven't seen really in ever so long. And let me tell you, it has made the biggest difference. It has made the biggest difference. People like me see this everywhere we go. And so I want to encourage you that this is due to finding your voice, and this means that we must continue. What does it say in Galatians 6 and 9? I have a verse here. It says, "Let us not grow weary of doing good, for in due season we will reap if we do not give up." Don't grow weary. And hey, if all the reaping was in the life to come, well, we'd still do it, right? Because that's why we do it. But I tell you what, there's some reaping in the present time in God's grace as well, and it's happening now. So I want to encourage you, and I want to say it's a good thing, and let us continue to do this good in our community.